Are you any good at crime solving? What about when someone's determined to make it look like it's you who has committed the crime? Hey there, book lovers. I'm here with my review of How to Seal Your Own Fate by Kristen Perrin for you. This cozy mystery is the second book in this author's Castle Null file series, and there's a third book in that series that's expected to be released in April 2026. Since I really enjoyed the first book in this series when I read it last year, picking this one up was a no brainer for me. I read the physical copy of this book from my local library, but it's available in whichever format you prefer. This book was released in April 2025. How to Steal Your Own Fate is about a young woman named Annie Adams who, having recently solved her great Aunt Frances's murder and inheriting the Gravesdown fortune and estate, is just beginning to settle into her new life in Castle Knoll, a small village in the English countryside. She's just beginning to think that the file cabinet of secrets that her great aunt kept on everyone in town will stay locked up, that she won't need to dig into them anymore with no more mysteries to solve. But when local fortune teller Peony Lane is found murdered inside Annie's locked estate hours after leaving her with a cryptic message, Annie begins to think again. And when more and more evidence seems to be piling up to make it look like Annie is the prime suspect in Peony's murder, she's left with no other choice than to go looking into her family's and the village's dark past for answers once more to clear her name. How to Steal Your Own Fate is a gripping story that focuses on the themes of trust, secrets, and how the past influences the present. Annie has come to view several of the villagers as friends in her short time in Castle Knoll, but when a murder happens in her home, she's forced to question not only if she can trust these people that she knows so little about, but she also begins to wonder if she can trust herself as she continues with her investigation. She also starts to question how much of the information in her great Aunt Frances's diaries and the files she's able to trust as she digs deeper into them to try to find the murderer. The more she learns through Frances's own words and the files she's compiled, the more Annie begins to wonder what secrets her great aunt kept to herself and took with her to her grave, rather than share them with whoever would inherit her files and diaries. Castle Null is full of secrets, and its citizens don't want them revealed. It becomes very clear as the story goes on just how many different problems secrets can cause. Annie has a hard time settling into her new life because everyone in town knows that her great aunt kept a file on just about everyone, containing as many of their secrets as she could discover. And since Annie inherited everything when she solved Frances's murder, many in the village are wary of her because they assume that she's read those files and knows all of their secrets. How to Steal Your Own Fate is told from two different points of view and jumps back and forth between two different time periods. There's the present day murder of Peony Lane that Annie works to solve using Frances's diaries and files, but the story also takes the reader back to 1967 when Frances was a teenager investigating a car crash that killed three Gravesdown family members as she herself searches for Peony Lane to find out more about the fortune that the girl gave to Frances that predicted her murder. As the story unfolds in each timeline, the reader gets to see just how important past choices can be to the present as Annie uses what she learns from Frances to unravel the secrets surrounding both of the open cases before her. Having read the previous novel in this series, I was already familiar with the cast of characters in this one. There were only a couple of minor additions to How to Seal Your Own Fate, but they still fit with the rest of the cast pretty well. Annie was quite relatable and fun to follow along with as I was reading, and Frances proved to be a bit of an unreliable narrator this time around, which I actually enjoyed because it proved that she had her secrets just like everyone else. You also get to find out a bit more about some of the characters from the first book this time around who didn't get as much screen time in the previous book, which helped make things a bit more interesting as I was reading. Overall, the characters definitely made the book more enjoyable to read for me. This book was very easy to snuggle up with. The writing and pacing were both similar to the first book, which I appreciated, and I found myself wanting to curl up with this cozy mystery any chance I could. I liked the way the story went back and forth between Annie's and Frances's points of view, because in the case of Frances's point of view, it gave the reader a glimpse of what was coming next. It was a nice use of foreshadowing that definitely kept me turning pages. The author also didn't use a lot of flowery language or accents since this was set in England, which I appreciated appreciated because that definitely could have made this one more difficult to get through. She did describe the setting in such a way that I felt like I was in England, though, which certainly added to my enjoyment of the book. How to Seal Your Own Fate is a cozy mystery that focuses on more than just solving the murder that serves as the main plot device for the book. It also touches heavily on Annie's struggle to find where she fits, both in Castle Knoll and in her new life as her great aunt's heir. Annie worries that she'll end up like Frances, obsessed with secrets as she tried and failed to outrun the fortune that predicted her own murder if she stays in her great aunt's house by herself. But she also feels adrift because she's unsure of what she wants to do with her new life. I found Annie's character to be quite relatable as I was reading because really, who among us isn't still trying to figure out what we want to be when we grow up, no matter our age? Being able to relate to her made it especially heartening to see Annie grow more comfortable within Gravestown Hall and among her close group of friends in Castle Knoll by the end of the book, too. If you've read and enjoyed How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin, the first book in this series, then you'll probably want to pick this one up if you haven't already. Fans of the cozy mystery genre in general, or Agatha Christie novels in particular, might also enjoy How to Seal Your Own Fate, too. Overall, I'd give How to Seal Your Own Fate 4 out of 5 stars. I love that the characters were familiar to me since I'd read the previous book and that it seemed to pick up soon after where the first one left off, so I didn't feel lost while I was reading. The story was interesting and held my attention, and I definitely recommend it to anyone who's a cozy mystery fan, especially if you happen to have read the first book in the series too. Does the weather where you are have you wanting to snuggle up with a good murder mystery before the seasons change? Or have you already read this one? Let me know if you have and what you thought, or if you plan to read it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more content and to find out what's next. See you next time and happy reading!